quote from a gentleman by the name of A.C. Clark. I have no idea who he is, but he said, let's see, let me get the quote exactly. I don't believe in astrology. I'm a Sagittarius, and we're very skeptical. So you have to listen for these little twists and things. Now, for the judges, it turns out by pure coincidence, and we have 5 witnesses, including myself, that the order of speakers is exactly the way it was prognosticated on the agenda. So how Linda could have known that, because it was just a random effect, but for the judges, the order is exactly how you see it. First speaker is Toastmaster. Oh, before I go any further, a Chief Judge. Are our timers and counters and judges all ready?
The timers and ballot counter and judges have all been briefed. Let the contest begin.
Well, if that's the case, then let the contest begin. Contestant number 1, Toastmaster Joy Gaylord. The title of her speech is An Ordinary Village. An Ordinary Village, Toastmaster Joy Gaylord.
Mr. Toastmaster, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, once upon a time, there was a little village called Ordinary. That was a good name for it, because while it was pleasant, it was ordinary. Most of the villagers were also pleasant and ordinary, but there were a few exceptions. The most exceptional was a woman known as Granny Goodworks. She crocheted little turtles, which she sold at the village's weekly market day. She was also the person the villagers went to if they were ill, or if they had a sick child, or even a sick animal. They would take her a gift. She would give them a potion she had brewed herself. It always took care of the problem. Occasionally, an unhappy young person would visit Granny's cottage with a gift. And not long afterward, that same young person would be happily planning a wedding. Granny was known as the village wise woman, and if anyone ever thought of another W word in connection with her, they never said it out loud. The other 3 non-ordinary villagers were not pleasant. One of them was a woman known as Greedy Gertie. At every village party, potluck, or picnic, Gertie would force her way to the front of the food line, eat 2 plates high with food, then sit down and immediately start eating. As soon as she was finished, she'd repeat the process as many times as she could. And one market day, the villagers noticed when Granny set up her stall, they saw a plump pink pig among the turtles. They whispered and laughed when they realized that that pig reminded them a lot of Gertie. The next day, there was a picnic, but there was no sign of Gertie, and no one ever saw her again. Another non-ordinary villager was a man known as Grabby Gus. No one ever actually saw Gus take anything, but whenever he was around, things disappeared. It didn't matter what it was. It could be a tool, a trinket, even a toy. If you turned your back when Gus was there, it was gone. Then one market day, Granny set up her wares, the villagers saw an octopus among the turtles. They didn't laugh when they realized that it reminded them of Gus. They just whispered together. Then several of them went to his house. They never did find Gus, but inside his house they found all the missing items. The last non-ordinary villager was a woman known as Badmouth Bertha. She never had a kind word to say to or about anybody, but she had plenty of unkind words. She was known for biting remarks and seemed to take great delight in causing hurt, humiliation, or even heartbreak. So one market day, when the villagers saw a crocodile that reminded them of Bertha, they didn't whisper, they didn't laugh, and they didn't go to her house. They just looked at each other and smiled. And ever after, The village of Ordinary has been just as ordinary, but even more pleasant than it was before. And all of the villagers are pleasant and ordinary, except for Granny Goodwood, who is pleasant, but definitely not ordinary. She's still known as the village wise woman, and if anyone ever thinks of another W word in connection with her, they never, ever say it out loud. Mr. Goodwood.